Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now it's time for Discuss. Yes, and today we are going to be talking about creating a healthy environment for domestic staff. According to the UN data, 67 million domestic workers actually work in the society, and 80% of these are women, and majority of them also work for private households. Most of them are often being ill-treated, while some of them are often treated very well. And yes, we shall be discussing about them this morning. And to have this discuss, so how this discuss, don't mind me, you know I play a lot. But then to have this discuss, I have a beautiful young lady with me. She's an in-house analyst. Yes, you see her face like almost every day. But here today, she's going to be our, should I say our guests? We're going to be just partner. Yes, you know, Rachael Roberts Abioye. Welcome to the show.
My husband would have arrested you. If you are no longer that robber, you would be a lot, Mama.
No. That's why I had the Abioye. You know, the Abioye has to be hyped. You know.
No, you don't understand now. It's a mistake. Nobody.
No, they don't understand.
No, you just say.
No, they don't understand. Something like that happened to me before. You know, when I got to my antenatal this thing, and then I forgot my husband's name.
Oh my God.
I just got married then, and then I forgot. So and then my husband was like, excuse me, ma. Is everything okay?
I had one story. Someone said a day after her wedding, she actually went out she wedded on a Saturday. Maybe like on Sunday, she went out to get something, started going back home, and she was going back to her father's house. I was like, oh, I don't know that's
possible. I remember the first week after my marriage. I know we're not here to talk about wedding.
Yes.
After the wedding, that first week I was going home, but my mom's house is like a few miles after my husband's house. So I just felt like, okay, let me go to water now. No, sorry.
So let's move to our topic of discuss for this morning. Yes, so many people out there complain about being maltreated by their employers. So many domestic staff. You get employers who maltreat a 13-year-old girl, a 14-year-old boy. There was one of recent going around the social media. Husband and wife maltreated the girl. I think about 13 or 14 years. She was beaten with hot iron and had marks on all her body parts and all of that. Though they were arrested, but how many of them are arrested? How many of them get to the media for them to be arrested and all of that? Rachael, what can you tell us about this? Why do we have so much of this in the society?
I think the very first part I would like to start from is who exactly is a domestic staff. You made an example now of a 13-year-old, and a lot of people make the mistake of hiring underage or employing underage children or underage persons and engaging them as members of staff or a member of staff in their household to manage their household. The same child that should be in school, and it's something that you see every day, almost every day in Nigeria here, and you want to report them to social workers. Even when you report them, it's not every time you get solution to that problem. Some people are even more influential than the social worker that is coming to arrest them
of course.
Or whatever. So the first question is, who is a domestic staff? Who is eligible to work in your home as a domestic staff? Because the truth is that what I have observed from my own, let's say my own experience, I don't know if it's really my experience, but from my own observation, what I've seen is that most times domestic staff that are usually ill-treated are the underage ones. You hardly find, I'm not saying there aren't adults that are ill-treated, but I'm talking about when you talk about things like domestic abuse, maybe beating the maid or whatever. But in most cases, you find that the children, the underaged domestic staff, are the ones usually ill-treated, especially when it comes to domestic abuse. For the adults, you find that things like maybe rape, sexual violence, underpayment, what else? Mistreatment, and maybe unfair rules or doctrine.
Starving them.
Starving them. Job insecurity. Those are the things you find with adults. But with children, they are usually overused. They are usually domestically abused. They could be beaten at any time. They could be served corporal punishment at any point in time, whether or not they are related to the so-called guardian or employer that they work for. So the first question that comes to mind when I see treating your domestic staff right is, who is a domestic staff? Who is eligible to be a domestic staff? So a lot of people have even gotten it wrong by employing underage as domestic staff. However, another point that many people also make mistakes when it comes to eligibility of the domestic staff is some people employ a child, someone who is underage, and then when they employ the person, they send that child to school. And then they say, okay, they brought a balance. So when it comes back, it still does the dishes. It is still wrong. You're still not supposed to engage that child to do that job for you. Sending the child to school does not cleanse you of your sins. That's why a lot of people get it wrong. They put the child in school and say, okay, he's going to school so he can work. No. If you want to help the child, do that on its own. Let it be two separate. And if you're even going to now keep the child with you, it shouldn't be a domestic staff. He or she should not be a domestic staff. You should train the child to do house chores the same way you are going to train your children.
The thing is, most of these, I call them employers or couples, I don't even know. They hide under the idea of helping, like by sending that child to school. And the thing is, the way they even treat that child, once you see the child, you will know yes, this person is not their real child, because they treat that person very different from their own children. Okay, I even saw on social media when someone posted a picture of a lady posted a picture of her family, she, her husband, and then her children, and then one of the kids there is actually a house help or something like that. So a lady commented that you have mind though, so you allowed your house help to sit on your husband's couch or something like that. And I was like, how cruel that the house help is supposed to just take her food and then go to the room. Help, you ignore the person, like the person should go and sit inside the toilet or where, as in some people are just so wicked and heartless.
For me, really, I think the fault comes from the parents of these helps. You understand what I'm saying? Like, or guidance.
I feel myself that I don't agree with that. Let me
seriously. I think it comes from parents' guidance of these people. Because the original owners of the child. Because I can't imagine you sending a child to go off to work. Do you realize that they get paid, but these children are not the ones being paid?
Right.
The money is sent to whomever brought them.
In some cases.
For children.
They don't even get
even
paid.
for children.
They just let me help you. Let your child come and be staying with me.
No.
That's
two ways. That's one way. Yes. There's the other way of agents who go to parents, lie to them that, okay, we're going to take your child abroad for schooling and all of that. They feed them with a lot of lies. And usually, from my own experience, maybe because I studied in Benin Republic, I got to meet people who have actually experienced it. Many of these children are shipped from Benin.
They are shipped from Benin, yes.
Now, what these people do, that should call them human traffickers. What they do is they tell the parent that, okay, we're going to take your child to Nigeria, we want to make her life better, let her study in English and all of that, give her a better chance at life. And then when they take the child from the parents, they take the child to wherever they are taking the child as a maid or for prostitution, depending on the age of the child. After that, they are the ones who get the payment. The money does not go to the parents directly. So imagine if a couple is paying. Some couples in Lagos, in Nigeria, they don't even know that this is what is happening. So the money goes, the couple pays the agent, because they believe that the agent is
The agent, yes.
Because there was a time, I think while I was on holidays or something, I stayed with one of my family friends who had a maid, and she was underage. I think she was about 16 or so. And it was later, she doesn't even know where she comes from. She's not educated, she doesn't know anything. It was later she found out that the money was not even getting to her parents.
Wow.
So, and the agent was collecting, I think, about 40,000 or 50,000.
Yeah, that's how much they pay for a month. The least you can get is 30,000 naira.
So out of the 30,000 naira, they just send maybe like 5,000 naira to the parents, just to show that the child is alive. When they bring the child to the home, they take a picture of the child and say your child is okay. They smile and all of that, whereas the child is not actually okay. So it's difficult to pin the problem on the parents, because when you look at it, many of these children are picked from rural areas.
Yes.
And by the time you look at the problems in rural areas, you will blame it on the government. Because it's not their fault that there is no affordable education in the society. It's not their fault that there is no jobs. There isn't enough job for them in the society. Look at many of the developed nations that we know. There are a lot of white people in Britain, for example, that are not learned. They did not go to school. They don't know what you and I know, but they are working. And you won't even know that. You won't even be able to tell that they are not learned. So sometimes when you look at it by extension, the parents might be at fault in a little way, because I mean, some people give birth to children.
Yeah,
they give birth to 15. They give birth to what they cannot. Yes, what they cannot take care of. But they say the child will bring whatever it eats. So you can blame the parents a little, but by extension, it goes beyond the parents. It goes to human traffickers. It also goes to the government.
Don't blame the parents.
Now this morning,
put all the blame on the parent. Like you are the one that wants to give birth. Right?
No.
So, yes.
No, you cannot. What about people? No.
Should eat that sand.
No. What about people? Okay, I did a documentary over the weekend. I just finished the documentary, and this lady was saying she was married off at 14. She gave birth to children. Now listen to this story. She got pregnant the same year she got married, at 14.
At 14.
Now, because she was a child, because it was child marriage, she was not old enough to self-deliver, but she still proceeded into self-delivery. So she had a tear from her vagina that linked her vagina to the anus, which is called obstetric fistula.
Yeah.
Now she started leaking, stinking, smelling. Now people abandoned her. Her husband, the so-called Alhaji that married her, that was way older than her, abandoned her. He picked another 13-year-old to marry. Now that kind of person, would you put the whole blame on her for not being able to, because you are thinking nobody is going to employ you? That's a fact. So how do you expect her to raise a child?
The Alhaji, like they allowed in.
It's happening in the north every day and every time. We had the senator. What are you talking about? Esther, you in this country. We had the old senator Yerima push a bill in the National Assembly for the marriage of 13-year-olds. What are we talking about?
We've had this issue of child marriage for a very long time.
So
it's rampant.
And that's just one out of many reasons why people give birth. Okay, someone who gave birth to triplets, what do you want them to do? They didn't choose to give birth to triplets. So you can't put the entire blame on them.
Well, now let's talk about the creating healthy environment for them. Now, these children have been brought from wherever they came from to a place to live, to survive, and all of that. And we now have couples who maltreat them just because you call them ourselves. And that's what most people will refer to as modern day slavery, because they are just putting
many of the agents are human traffickers.
Yes. Most of these children just work, and then you just give them peanuts to live with, or some don't even give them anything.
They send them to school. They send them to one public school.
Some don't even send them to school. Some just say, maybe they are feeding them. I have a case of someone who said the girl they brought for her. Of course, definitely, she was making her hair before she came, and the girl has not been making her hair. And then someone just asked her, "Are you not going to make her hair?" And then the employer said she will make her hair, but then she will remove it from her salary. Yes, This is someone I know.
See, yeah, the thing is, one thing about having this treating a domestic staff well, it depends on your kind of person, your nature. If you're someone that has a good heart, there are some people that cannot even hurt a fly. If you're someone that has a good heart, no matter what, you won't even have that mind to mistreat somebody else, even though the person is not your child not. Okay, there is this post I saw on Facebook sometime. I guess it was just a random post that someone just threw a challenge. If you have a house help, post your house help and your children. So people were posting, some people were posting. There was this lady, and some people just post just one. Some people just want to do eye service and let me just post one. So there's this particular lady that posted more than 20 different pictures. In all of that pictures, you can never spot the one that is the house help. All boys, even the house help was a boy. She has all boys, no girl. You can never even talk. She was just posting them back to back, and I was like, wow. So I sent her a friend. We are very good friends now. So this kind of a person, you won't even, she can't even as in, you won't even notice the house help. You understand? I think wait, and there's this neighbor of mine while I was growing up. This woman, she changes herbs like the clothes she wears. Like she and her husband, they have A1 in mistreating people's children. And she has her own children, but the way she mistreats, this is the kind of way that she's even ready to use knife and then stone a house up. And this one is not okay. There was a time she was bringing in adults, not really adult like that, but an adult that is in secondary school like that. And even at that, those people they are never free.
No, they
tremble.
That kind of person. As I agree with it being natural for you to be kind, I also believe that you can be intentional about being kind. You can choose to say. You may not necessarily. The truth is that our parents gave birth to us. I knew the family I came from, and I can tell you for a fact that my mom does not love us equally. Neither does my dad. They are the ones that even gave birth to me. Now I'm not expecting I think what we mix up most times, we mix kindness up with basic things that you should do legally. What is the person's right on a normal ground?
Thank you.
Now, it's one thing to be kind. You can choose to be over the bar or do it excessively or however you want to do it. You can choose to be kind to your house help, but there are certain things you might not necessarily be that boss or that employer that will say, okay, dress with my children, come and eat the same food as my children, but how are you paying this person? What are you doing to this person? How does that person even look? There are helps that you look at them and you're like, what happened? Why is it so bad? And then you see there are people that they are working. I know someone that has been working as a domestic staff for more than 20 years. And when you see her outside, you will never know that she's a domestic staff. Even when she's walking into her office, because that's her office, you will not know. She's a professional domestic staff, and by the appearance you can tell her dressing. Now this one is not a matter of how do I put it? Just kindness. It's just basic things that you should do. You are employing somebody, give the person an employment letter.
Yes, of course.
You are employing somebody, let there be a salary scale, let there be benefits. What are the perks of this job? Okay, you are going to get a free meal morning and evening. You're going to get only lunch from this job. You're going to resume at 8 a.m. You can't tell somebody's daughter, somebody's wife, who is working as a domestic staff with you, that she should start washing your clothes at 8 p.m. when she's supposed to be with her husband.
So I feel that this domestic staff to really need to know their rights as an employer.
You might know, but the desperation in Nigeria jobs will blind you.
In domestic staffs, I think those are the worst cases, because if you're living with them,
they see you finish.
Even those that are not living with them, some of them say that. That's why I said you need to know your rights, because there's a story of a woman that I know personally. She works as she's not a living help. She comes like 3 times in a week, does house chores for this elderly woman, and she cleans the compound, the tenants in the house, they pay, there's a monthly allowance that they pay to the landlord, and then the landlord pays this woman. And then later on, I got to understand that this woman, this landlord, doesn't want this help to work for another person.
Yet she won't increase her pay.
Yeah, she won't increase her pay.
Or even pay her completely where the tenants are contributed.
Thank you.
So what are you talking about? That's what I'm saying. That's not a case of being kind. It's just a normal thing that a same person should do.
Ask her that, did she increase your pay? Then what if she's not in Nigeria for months? And she's not, and she didn't allow you to work with someone else. Why don't you just think?
So those things are not, they're not a question of being kind. There's one thing to be kind. You cannot be extra and say, okay, I'm feeding this person,
yes.
I'm buying you clothes, I'm taking you to trip with my family for vacation or whatever. But there are basic employer rules, or that's employability rules, whatever the English is, that you are supposed to follow. That shows that, okay, this is, you come, you wash it. There are some people that will tell you that you want to employ a gardener. By the time you resume as a gardener, you will start washing clothes.
Of course.
You will be the security man. You will be the washman. You will be the laundry man. You will be the dishes man. You will be the chef. You will be everything.
So I
can't just tell you to do this thing. No.
For me, really, I feel that, like you said, some might be desperate. But I feel that if this set of people, because definitely we need help. And so we cannot rule out the fact that there are some set of people that will be domestic helps, you understand?
Right.
So I just feel that this set of people should just understand their rights. If 15 out of 20 know their rights, there won't be a case of it's because I was desperate, that was why I had to take this job. You understand? So if they know their right, even these employers we have to understand that, I have to treat this person right, I have to do the necessary things, that if not, I will lose this person.
I think the closing point for me will be that if, as a domestic staff, I'm going to take it back to voting. Know who you are voting for during the elections. Because the people who make the rules are your senators and your House of Rep members. What kind of bills are they pushing? Go and check. That's how you know. Look at the senator that is pushing for bill of 13-year-old marriage. What are we talking about? So you know who you want to vote. So if you don't know, then those laws that those rights that Ololade said you should know, they won't even be there. Because from the truth is that when it comes to domestic staffing in Nigeria, there really is no law except for don't hire an underage. That's all. And even the underage, there is no law enforcement even making sure that people are not hiring underage. I don't know police officers with underage that as their maids.
There was a time in Lagos that there was a law that you shouldn't employ a 12-year-old child, 12 year and below. You shouldn't employ. And then people are there to hit. You understand? But then later on, everything just went back.
That's the thing about enforcement.
So, all right, because of our time, we have to go. Thank you so much, Mrs.
Thank you so
Rachael. Robert.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll go on a short break now, and when we come back, Daybreak Africa continues. Please stay with us.